When we're talking about your guys' training or your schooling, what does level 1 look like? Your first year going to school.
So first and foremost, the most important thing and the background of our drop today is safety. So you're going to go through a 24-hour safety program. And in the 24-hour safety program, we've actually created VR headsets that the students can put on, and you can do this before you've been put out in the industry. And if you've never seen the top of an elevator, the pit of the elevator shaft, an elevator machine room, this VR headset offers you the ability to go and do certain tasks in those areas in a safe environment with an instructor. And then you would move into basically history of elevators and codes. So you would learn about how codes are created, the history of codes, regulations. From there, you would move into escalators, hydraulic elevators, hoisting and rigging. You would go through all these things in year 1, and ladders and scaffolds, pretty much finish up there.
So you finish level 1, you go back out into the field for a little bit, you acquire the hours you need, you're going into level 2. What can someone expect to learn on their level 2?
A lot of electricity. So math, Ohm's law, motor theory.
What's Ohm's law for someone who's maybe not as smart?
So voltage and resistance, and it's a vicious triangle. There's 3 variables, and if you know any 2 values, you can find the 3rd value.
So you gotta be smart to be in this trade.
No, we teach you. We teach you, right? We teach everybody. We don't all come in as electrical engineers, but when you're done year 2, you're almost one.
Really?
Yeah, you can, we teach the repair and operation of solid state drives, the components that go into them, like you name it. You got to think about how many different trades are a part of the elevator trade. So you've got pipe fitting. So we teach pipe fitting in year 1. So we do roll grooving, pipe threading, just like you would see on a job where the sprinkler fitters and the plumbers have their rigid power heads set up. We have that in our shop, so we teach that. There's welding. Lots of guys that we have are welding on the job.
And that's more structural welding.
We don't do structural welding, but we will do temporary welding and then bring in a certified welder to complete the structural weld. So because we're in the hoistway and you need us in there for you to do the work, sometimes we'll have a welder on the car. We'll put pieces in place, carry on our work, get to a certain point where we have enough work for a day or a few days for a welder to come in, and then they can follow up on some of the stuff we did.
Okay. Finish level 2, you pass with flying colors because now you're practically an engineer. You go out there again, you get your hours, you're going to level 3.
So year 3 of school really focuses on what you've started with year 2 and builds on that. So year 2, you're learning the basic electricity, basic Ohm's law, basic motor theory. Once you get into year 3, you're building on all those basic fundamentals. Generators, motor fields, solid state drives.
Thank you. I wasn't following.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of learning to work with electricity, and that should have been given, obviously, in your guys' field. Finish level 3, obviously you pass because you're smart. You get your hours again, now you're going for level 4. And level 4 is where you'll get your Journeyman certification with you guys at that point?
So year 4, heavily code-based. So there's a lot of maintenance, protocol, and code material. Year 1 speaks about the code, and it starts the students on navigating the code book and get them familiar. Year 4 is more in-depth with the code book. At this point, you're really preparing them for the current code because it could have changed from year 1 to year 4. Our code revisions are every 3 years. So when you started your education program, you might be under a different code by the time you finish. So year 4 is heavy code, heavy maintenance, and getting you ready to become a journeyman. Once you finish year 4, you come in and you write your mechanics exam. Mechanics exam is a compilation of all 4 years worth of material compiled into a 150 question exam.
So you have level 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You get your Journeyman, but there was something about, I think you said it was a conductor or something?
Adjuster.
Adjuster, thank you. Is there like another type of training that you have to go to become an adjuster, or what is it exactly about an adjuster that's different from a journeyman?
So adjuster is definitely next level elevator mechanic. So that's, you know, that's your,
That's
the guy that's going to bail you out when you need to be bailed out. When you've maxed out what you can do, what you can figure out, what you can fix, and you need help, that's the person you're going to. The adjuster does the testing procedures, makes sure the elevators are compliant, work with government agencies to do an initial inspection on the equipment. They're the ones at the end of the job that get it to a point where the check is written and passed over and people can ride the unit. They're our finishers.
So how does one go about becoming an adjuster with you guys?
We kind of have different types of adjusters. So because our industry is so vast, you can have service maintenance adjusters who are experts in solving problems with existing equipment that's having issues, where, you know, a typical mechanic that goes in may be experiencing troubles with a unit they're not familiar with, they can't quite figure it out. They'll come in and step in and help you out. Construction and modernization side, once again, we'll have a general mechanic that'll come in and build the elevator, and they'll get it to, you know, 99% complete. But actually making all of the different systems function together to create something where you walk up and push the button, doors open, you step in, push a button, and it takes you where you want to go. There's a lot of work to get it to all work together and operate properly. So adjusters are probably maybe only 2 or 3% of our membership. There's different manuals. I would say a little bit more initiative and reading the manuals fully, and they do receive some additional training from their employers, but it's just like taking a little bit more on.
Reading the manual cover to cover, knowing the specs, all that's something they take on.
Taking more of the code book on. When you build an elevator, it's like receiving your car and you open the glove box and you have a manual. When you build the elevator, you have a manual on how everything works. Because we're a regulated trade, you know, the building operator isn't to be looking in that manual and trying to figure it out. That's for us. So that's like the adjusting and operation and maintenance manual. So when you're there to build the elevator, you're there to build the elevator. They're different jobs. It's just some people do all of the jobs. Some people just specialize in just adjusting, just being a mechanic in charge or being a mechanic. Some people do all of it. So other things you can do in the industry are consultant, inspector. You can go in the office in a supervisory capacity. These are all typically jobs that require a mechanic certificate to do. Like if you want to be a government inspector, it's not even a government inspector. The agency is called ADERSA, and they're the representative for the Alberta government. So if you want to be an inspector, there's different levels of inspector. But in Alberta, there's only 2 criteria that are allowed for a level 1, which is in service, is elevator mechanic or engineer. If you're one of those 2 things, you can become a level 1. If you want to go beyond level 1 and do initials, where you're actually putting something new into operation, you have to be an elevator mechanic.